Good evening. Confidence is silent, insecurities are loud. Welcome to BMC News Live in English, brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines. Bahrain ranked 4th on Global Knowledge Index. Electronic platform for citizens and residents to register summer work ban violations. Bahrain intensified efforts to ease traffic during school hours. King Charles vows to serve his nation as Britain mourns late Queen. Kuwait to raise fees for expatriate services. News in detail. Bahrain ranked 4th on Global Knowledge Index. Bahrain has been ranked 4th globally for researchers in higher education on the latest Global Knowledge Index, which rates the kingdom as a strong performer in terms of its knowledge infrastructure. Bahrain also ranks high on Global Knowledge Index, Global Information and Communication Technology rankings, where the kingdom enjoys superior ratings in 3G and 4G network coverage, households with internet access, mobile broadband internet traffic per subscription, and internet users. The ranking further highlights the vulnerable employment rate, households with internet access at home, internet users, mobile broadband internet traffic per subscription, and researchers in higher education as the areas of strength in Bahrain. The index also outlines certain areas of improvement for Bahrain, including academic freedom, renewable energy consumption, researchers in business enterprises, ecological footprint per capita, enrollment in vocational education, and gender parity. Overall, Bahrain ranks 55th out of 154 countries and 51st out of 61 countries with very high human development. Electronic platform for citizens and residents to register summer work ban violations. Bahrain is planning to set up an electronic platform for citizens and residents to register summer work ban violations. The move, set to be implemented next year, is in line with the Labour Ministry's vision of collaborating with community to improve the effectiveness of its projects aimed at protecting the nation's workforce, Labour Ministry Occupational Safety Director Mustafa Al-Sheikh said. Specialized consultancy firm to be assigned for development. Bahrain's Master Plan 2030 outlining the country's development strategies is set for a major review. The cabinet told Parliament in writing that a specialized consultancy firm would be assigned by the Housing and Urban Planning Ministry's Urban Planning and Development Authority to study the document and suggest possible data. Legislation and Legal Opinion Commission launched Elections Visual Identity. The Legislation and Legal Opinion Commission launched the visual identity for the parliamentary and municipal elections under the slogan, "We Vote for Bahrain," which bears lofty meanings that embody the supreme goal of participation based on the citizens' belief in the importance of his voice in consolidating the democratic principles and contributing to development. The Commission stressed that organizing the 6th electoral session under the slogan, "We Vote for Bahrain," reflects what this constitutional entitlement represents as a new station in the continuous democratic process. The identity came crowned with the slogan, "We Vote for Bahrain," to emphasize the national constants in all their dimensions, which were established by the comprehensive development project of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa as a starting point and basis for the democratic march. The visual identity for the 2022 elections consists of the phrase, "We Vote Bahrain," written in the golden color, and at the bottom of it there are 5 red triangles with serrated vertices pointing upwards, inspired by the 5 triangles included in the flag of the Kingdom of Bahrain. And underneath there is the number 2022, which is indicative of the year in which the 6th electoral session is organized. Director General of School Affairs congratulated Bahraini students on winning the Arab League Educational, Cultural and Scientific Organization Award. A number of students from the Kingdom of Bahrain's public schools who are part of a delegation participating in the Alasco Olympiad competitions held by the Arab League Educational, Cultural and Scientific Organization won the award for the best research in terms of social impact On this occasion, the Education Ministry Director General of School Affairs, Dr. Muhammad Mubarak bin Ahmed, congratulated the student Sharifa Al-Tawadi from Zenobia Intermediate School for Girls and School Director Nasrin Rida Haider, the student Sahra Mustafa from Al-Malikiya Preliminary Intermediate School for Girls and the school director Vedad Al-Baghdad Al-Dosri, the student Abdullah Bujri from Al-Hid Primary Intermediate School for Boys and the school director Yusuf Yaqub at Khuz, as well as Sheikha Al-Sharuki, the educational specialist in the Department of Educational Operations, who is accompanying the delegation on the accomplishment. Justice Minister issued edict appointing Executive Director of Parliamentary Elections. Justice, Islamic Affairs and Endowments Minister and Chairman of the High Committee to oversee the integrity of the elections of the members of the Council of Representatives, Nawaf bin Muhammad Al-Mawada, today issued Edict 119 of 2022. Under the edict, the President of the Legislation and Legal Opinion Commission, Chancellor Nawaf Abdullah Hamza, was appointed as Executive Director of the elections of the members of the Council of Representatives. The Executive Director shall oversee all the necessary administrative and technical preparations for the elections of the members of the Council of Representatives. The edict also stipulates that the Executive Director shall appoint the necessary personnel to assist the election committees according to the needs of each committee. Bahrain mourns Queen Elizabeth as world lost a great source of inspiration and strength. With flags lowered at half-mast, Bahrain is mourning the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, with His Majesty the King, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, the Speaker and the Chairman of the Shura Council sending condolences to the UK, and people taking to social media to share their grief the Queen's passing. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa has extended his heartfelt condolences to King Charles III, members of the royal family and the people of Britain following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. In a cable of condolences, His Majesty the King paid tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II's exemplary reign and immeasurable contribution to the deepening and strengthening of relations between Bahrain and the United Kingdom. The world has lost a great source of inspiration and strength, whose wisdom and humanity will be missed by all, His Majesty King Hamad emphasized. As a mark of respect for Queen Elizabeth II, His Majesty the King has ordered that flags be lowered to half-mast for 3 days. Justice Minister issued edict forming High Election Committee. Justice, Islamic Affairs and Endowments Minister Nawaf bin Muhammad Al-Mawada today issued Edict 120 of 2022 forming the High Committee to oversee the integrity of the elections of the members of the Council of Representatives. The edict stipulates that the committee shall oversee the integrity of the election of the members of the Council of Representatives in all regions and electoral constituencies and examine all matters submitted to it by its subcommittees in accordance with the provisions of Article 7 of the Decree Law 14 of 2002 on the exercise of political rights. It shall also announce the results of the elections and inform the winners. The edict also stipulates that the High Committee shall have an executive committee that oversees all tasks related to the electoral process. Bahrain intensified efforts to ease traffic during school hours. The Ministry of Interior yesterday said efforts are intensified with relevant departments to ensure smooth traffic during school hours. Interior Ministry said it is coordinating with educational institutions and administrative bodies to strengthen the community partnership strategy in force in all sectors. The Community Service Police in all 4 governorates and the General Traffic Department have increased their presence in the vicinity of schools and kindergartens to ensure safe passage for students and teachers. The move comes as more than 147,000 students returned to 110 government schools after a hiatus of about 3 years on Wednesday. The public had complained that on the reopening day, they experienced heavy traffic on internal roads and residential areas close to educational institutions, making nationwide preparations to welcome back students. Today's COVID updates. Now we will be back after. COVID updates brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. Now we will be back after a very short break. Welcome. The sixth back. Kuwait to raise fees for expatriate services. The Kuwaiti government has recently started revising fees on state services for Kuwaitis and expatriates in the country in a step to increase them for the foreigners, a Kuwaiti newspaper has said. Citing government sources, there is an inclination to differentiate in charges on government services provided for citizens and expatriates depending on the type of the service, added the sources. Kuwaiti government ministries and institutions are working on detailed lists of services and related fees as part of the revision. The government will conduct a comprehensive revision of service charges and previous amendments to determine the extent of their stability to changes in different fields. There is a serious inclination towards making changes on services from which expatriates benefit different from those paid by citizens. Doha International Airport to reopen to ease World Cup 2022 traffic. Qatar will reopen Doha International Airport next week, airlines said Wednesday, ahead of the FIFA World Cup 2022 that is expected to draw more than 1 million visitors. The Doha airport has been in semi-retirement since it was replaced in 2014 by the nearby Hamad International Airport, which has since become a major hub in parallel with the growth of flag carrier Qatar Airways. Qatari authorities did not comment on the move from Hamad back to Doha Airport, but Kuwait's Jazeera Airways, the UAE's Fly Dubai, Oman's Salman Air and Turkey's Pegasus Airlines have begun selling tickets to Doha Airport from September 15. It is currently mainly being used for flights by Qatar's royal family and VIPs along with its Air Force. Hamad International Airport was used by 3 million passengers in June alone and 8.42 million in the second quarter of 2022, a figure which the Civil Aviation Authority said was 18% higher than the first 3 months of the year. King Charles vows to serve his nation as Britain mourns late Queen. Britain's King Charles paid a heartfelt tribute on Friday to his late mother, Queen Elizabeth, vowing to serve with loyalty, respect and love, as she had done for more than 7 decades. In his first address to the nation, Charles thanked the Queen for her devotion to her family and to those for whom she was monarch, Reuters reported. Elizabeth, Britain's longest reigning monarch and a towering presence on the world stage for 70 years, died on Thursday at her home in Scotland, aged 96, drawing an outpouring of tributes from at home and around the globe. There were gun salutes at London's Hyde Park and at the Tower of London and the bells at Westminster Abbey and St. Paul's, as well as the Sebastopol bell at Windsor Castle, captured during the 19th century Crimean War, told. Regular business in Parliament was replaced with a special session for lawmakers to pay tribute to the Queen. Parliament convened on Saturday to approve a message of condolence to the King. Condolences poured in from leaders around the world. From the Sydney Harbour Bridge to the European Commission in Brussels, flags were flown at half-mast. UN approved Austria's Volker Turk as new human rights chief. The UN General Assembly has approved veteran Austrian diplomat Volker Turk to be the global body human rights chief. Secretary General Antonio Guterres nominated Volker Turk, his top policy chief, late Wednesday, and the 193-member Assembly quickly approved the appointment by consensus with a bang of the drum by its acting president, which was followed by a burst of applause. Turk will replace Michelle Bachelet of Chile as High Commissioner for Human Rights, based in Geneva, Associated Press reported. Turk, who holds a doctorate in international law from the University of Vienna, worked for the UN High Commissioner for Refugees around the world, including in Malaysia, Kosovo, Bosnia, Congo, and Kuwait, before serving his key positions at UNHCR headquarters in Geneva. From 2015 to 2019, he was Assistant High Commissioner for Protection, where he focused on developing the Global Compact on Refugees. From 81st to 46th spot, India's Global Innovation Index achievement hailed by Prime Minister. India's Prime Minister Modi pointed out that since 2014, the investment in science and technology increased exponentially. India presently stands at 46th spot in the Global Innovation Index. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said on Saturday, underlining that the country has made huge progress in terms of innovation in the last few years, highlighting the country's achievement for climbing the list from 81st spot in 2015. Prime Minister Modi stressed after 2014, investment in science and technology increased exponentially. The government is working towards science-based development. The country is headed towards leading the fourth industrial revolution, he further pointed out, recounting the contribution of experts. His comments came as he addressed the Center State Science Conclave virtually, drawing parallels between the contributions of world-renowned scientists like Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, and those who hailed from India, including C.V. Raman. Prime Minister Modi said that Indian scientists are doing wonders. Celebrating their innovations and successes will inspire the people. Last month, during the Independence Day address, Prime Minister Modi had pointed out that the next 25 years are very crucial for India, underscoring that the country would become a developed nation during this period. The comment, however, had drawn the opposition's ire. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I am Vinod Narayanan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.